Welcome back. Time now for the Dawn debate. It is one of the constituencies where an epic battle is expected to go down come the 8th of August. The two main Dagoretti North candidates are high-ranking politicians and senior stalwarts of Jubilee and ODM. And this time, I'm referring to Member of Parliament Simba Arati of ODM and nominated Senator Beatrice Elachi of Jubilee. The latter is in studio today to explain her plan for Dagoretti North. The incumbent Simba Arati was supposed to join us, but he cancelled late in the night. Nonetheless, the show continues. Senator, welcome to the Dawn debate.
Thank you.
The bigger question is, you're a senator running for a parliamentary position. Why the parliamentary position, and why not run for Senate in an elective seat?
First of all, you remember when you're a nominated either member of parliament, let's say in the National Assembly or in the Senate, you must, first of all, build yourself. Right. And for me, I said, before I even go to the Senate, which I understand what right now a senator has to do, let me start with the National Assembly, where I need to understand, first of all, because they are implementers also, like any other, like the governor, like the president. They are able to implement a few projects, and not just few, serious projects that touch lives. And I say to myself, when you come into the Senate, you just oversight. You can't implement, you can't do anything, because the law is very clear on that. So yours is to oversight on the resources you have devolved to ensure that those resources work. And as a nominated senator, it's also important to understand that you start from low. You will learn a lot. You will meet the people. So if I live today and I say, in the grace of God, I become a member of parliament of Dagoretti North, I think I would wish in 5 years Dagoretti North to judge me.
Out of your track record?
Out of my track record. And at that time, I'll be able to tell them, I can now move to a next level. To the
next level. And that's what I want us to focus on, because like we mentioned, it is an epic battle expected to go down there on the 8th of August. The incumbent Simba Arati is defending his seat on the ODM ticket. What gives you an advantage over him?
Well, I think the simple policies that I've just put out there, and for the last 1.5 years, I have been very clear that I pray to God. In Dagoretti North, one of the challenges, the first challenges, and I just want to say what the president said about education. When I get to Dagoretti North, when I wake up every morning, I will always find young children who have not gone to school, who will come on the streets of Kilimani, and you'll find them asking for this and this. You will find them with some forms, those who are now in the informal schools, coming to ask you, oh, we need this help. This is a form they've been given. You have to give this child this money and sign. And so I always refuse and pick these children and ask them, where is hope? So I'll drive with them to the house and I'll tell the parent, what is the challenge? This and this, I'll ensure I give, go to school.
Goes well, right.
So for me, my first agenda, every child in Dagoretti North must be in a classroom somewhere. If it is in the informal schools, I will have to make sure we sit down with the teachers. I would want to understand, is this child getting the same curricula with the child who...
Why would you say, though, that that has not happened yet? I mean, we've had Simba Arati being there for 5 years as the incumbent. He has all the resources that you would be availed to you if you clinch that same position. Where is that disconnect?
I think for me, the disconnect is very wide. I'll give you another example. I don't want to say the schools, because I know now people will really want to just go and now start those fights here. But I'll say there's a school. We have painted with Basco paints, and sorry to say that on air. The whole school outside was looking so bad. And I would say, if I'm a child walking into this school, definitely, I would want to see something very bright that brightens me when I come to school.
You want to go to school?
Yes. And I used 210,000. And I look at our books of Dagoretti North, and 2 blocks somewhere in a school, they use 5 million. I said something is disconnected completely, because with my 210, I would have painted all my schools in Dagoretti North. We have very good examples between the constituencies that we need to ask ourselves, if they have this money, how come in Dagoretti North we can't do what is done in Westlands constituency? What is done in Kibra? Look at Okoth, without even bashing and hitting, because I want Kenyans not to just look at the vehicles that we use, but look at the track record of an individual. And indeed, if he has tried to raise, whether you like him or not, but we must thank him. And because he has given an example that indeed that CDF within Nairobi can transform schools.
Simba Arati cancelled on this interview, so we cannot ask him about his track record, but you've also been a senator for 5 years.
Yes.
Let's speak about your track record, the bills that you've sponsored, and what residents of Dagoretti can look back on and say, yes, Elachi is the person we need for this constituency.
The first thing I want to thank God is that I brought in the motion of the National Youth Service. And I thank God for giving me that wisdom at that time. And at that time, I had 5 pillars. And when I did the motion in the Senate in July, when I was now is when we were learning so many things. So we were just trying to see. And I looked at the National Youth Service and I said, if we get good leadership that can guide our young people, at that time, we had just come from an election where you look at young people and you get a bit worried and you feel, where can you put them to work? And now there's this county government staff coming up. If they get out and the county governments are able to absorb them to do the different chores that are there in the county government, we will have created jobs, you will have created cohesion. Because my agenda at that time was, you looked at Kenya and we are gone. We were so divided in 2013. And I was like, the other thing, bring young people from this county to understand even how are their peers doing in this county. And then these peers will go there and understand, fine, in the village of county of Nyeri, this is what happens. And in the village of county of Mombasa, this is what happens. That builds
cohesion and integration as well among the youth.
And it's one thing I am still. And then, in the end, instead of having this full police, when you're doing your recruitments, you go back on the ground, you're recruiting young people. These were the best. And that is what I proposed also, that the disciplinary forces can pick on the NYS young people because they've gone through a process, they have now built themselves, they have that nationhood, and they are willing to get out there and just work for the country. But then, because of so many things, and people would like to do a lot of corruption, as we talk about. So it is not
as it was envisioned initially?
No.
All right. One more thing you also sponsored was the food security bill,
yes.
2014. Talk to us about that.
The food security, and we did it with Nairobi University. The women docket under the leadership of Professor Wenjiko Kabira, who had a vision that was very clear because she realized climate change has just hit us. We know that agriculture is also devolved. How do we now bring in the county governments and the national government to work together towards food security? But in the end of the day, we knew very well the president has his way, because when a country now goes under drought and famine, it is him who will be able to seek from his friends in the other countries to ensure. We created committees in that bill, and we were saying, up to the ward level, down, 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 one is able to raise a red flag in Turkana and say, we are just about to see our children die. So before they die, raise the red flag. What is happening in Trans Nzoia? Trans Nzoia, we have this. We are able to surplus very fast to Turkana.
Has this food security bill delivered what it was meant to deliver?
No, because after the pull and push of ego, of this house is more powerful than this house, it became a money bill. So it went back to the National Assembly. I know I pleaded so much with the chairman, who really wanted to help on how we can do it, and told them, fine, it's a money bill. It does not matter. Can someone pick on it? And you guys start the process and bring it to the Senate. Because in the end of the day, it is not who does the bill. Because after we have finished all these things, in the end, the bill is a bill of parliament.
Right.
So it does not matter.
It's by the House.
It's by the House.
Okay.
And I really pleaded. Today we would be having that bill. Maybe now we would be able to talk about different things and why we are having challenges with all the things that are happening.
And of course, a lot of initiatives are being seen in your track record. Let's go back to Dagoretti North and talk about the issues that are most pressing to the residents there. You've mentioned that one of your first stops will be to ensure that every child goes to school, that every school has the required facilities. What else, other than education, do the residents of Dagoretti North want?
The second thing, which is very sad, is security. Now, we have young people, because of being idle, they engage into very young people. So you find them, they have small arms, they are able to become very, very, I would call them young, serious crime robbers who do not care when they meet you.
Right.
They will deal with you, they will leave you there, or they will kill you. And it is something that I have sat with very many young people. Some of them will come and tell me, Mheshimiwa, we need this, we need a tank, we need, and I even, the car wash machines. They'll now give you what they think they want to do. And I know I have sponsored many. Some even came and told me, we need just shoe shiners kiosks. So there are a few of them that we did for those who want. Because I've always told young people, you cannot be forced to do something.
Right.
When we force you to do, you will not do it. But I would wish young people can just come out and say, we have taken many to driving schools, but then we have to ask ourselves, where are we absorbing them? And that is one thing I'm telling them. We cannot just take you and then give you a driving license, then what? Then you go to a matatu, all of you, and start doing the squads? No,
so there
we
needs
have
to be
think.
Some accountability.
Some accountability. We have done, and I want to thank the Presidential Music Commission, because we have done talents, and they were able to absorb 5 who will go through a serious, they have already gone at the first part in Isiola. Right. And I even went there to see. And I met young other Kenyans who are doing so well. And I want to encourage not just those of Dagoretti North, but within Nairobi, young people, if you want to go and do a training in the music industry, we have a commission that has all the facilities and that can handle us and make sure these young people, you grow your talent and do something.
And go ahead.
Yes.
All right, I want us to delve into how your experience as a senator and that oversight role will guide you in curbing corruption, because this is something that has been also highlighted in the Auditor General's report. Yes. Many constituencies, a lot of runaway corruption being reported. But before that, somebody on social media here saying that they really need the Sokomjinga Road finished immediately because it is really bad. So that brings in a question of infrastructure in Dagoretti North, especially development infrastructure, so to speak. What are your plans for the constituency?
First of all, I know with the new CDF, the old actor of the CDF had given a leeway to MPs to do even the Kura roads and all that. Now, I know it has been removed. The only thing remaining on CDF is education and security. But we have the county governments. And some of these roads are also roads under the national government. Right. And I know even a few weeks ago, you find the 46 Gitanga Road, that is how it's called on the Apan, is completely depleted that you can't even understand whether it's a road anymore. And I went to Mosonik, the PS, and I said, this is an urban road. Now, when we start playing games that a politician can come to play games on people's life to say, you can do this road, we are lying to them. What we need is a serious urban the institution of urban roads to go down there, look at the road, and ensure they start repairing the road. Right. Or remove the whole thing and do a good road for the people. But the other thing I want to urge, when they come, because they have put it in the plan, those who are around the road should appreciate that when they come, we have to move a bit to ensure now the road goes through. The Sokomjinga, the same. What they did, those are now county roads. They did the roads and then they levelized it with serious stones that you can't even drive on properly. So I would urge also even the county government. What you need is that rolloda that comes and now claps the whole thing to smoothen it, so that people also, when you are in danger, when you have a sick patient on such a road, you cannot drive on that road. If you drive fast, you injure your patient before it goes to hospital. So it's something we have to look at. We have to also look at the health sector within that area. We don't have a clear maternity hospital, and I'm hoping even the Reruta one, we can upgrade it and ensure it becomes a maternity. It makes it easier for women within that area to just walk into a hospital, be taken care of, get your baby, and go back
in the comfort of your home.
Yes.
Now, you yourself have alluded to instances or allegations of corruption within Dagoretti North Constituency. You just mentioned 2 blocks that were painted in a school for 5 million shillings when you were able to do the same for 200,000 shillings. What experiences in your role as senator and that oversight mandate, what specific experiences will give you the advantage of curbing corruption in Dagoretti North?
One of the things I know is that when you look at Dagoretti North, there are many resources that I know the county government is able to collect. And you find that Dagoretti North is a very interesting constituency. One side is a very, very rich side. The other side is where people are trying to pull and ensure their lives move on. And for me, I'd want to balance both. I would want both of us to work in a way, have a community exchange where we appreciate each other. And I know some will love it, some will hate it, but I know in our houses we have so many things that we would wish to take somewhere. And in my wish is to talk to everyone of both sides and say, if you have anything you feel it's still valuable, but it can go somewhere else to assist our children, we can help now so that these ones can understand both of us are brothers. Yes, God said, I will bless. So those are blessed, let's help those. And I think it's very clear in the Bible in that. The other thing we have to think about, I know on the other side, the issue of security is very critical for them. And the issue of border borders is very critical for them. But I'm saying that border young man is the one who carried one of those who come and take care, who you trust, who comes and take care of you in your home or somewhere. So why can't we just synergize and ensure our young people do their work, but in the end of the day, both of them appreciate each other in a way that, indeed, I need him, he needs me. And that is one thing, and I'll give an example of yesterday. Yesterday, it was very interesting when there's a gated estate within Dagoretti North. So these people fear these other people, and they come and tell me there's a security threat. So I look at them and I ask, why? Do you look at a Kenyan and you just imagine, because I'm coming from this other side, I am a security threat? I said, I pray to God, when I become an MP, you can have that trust, that when I see this young person coming from Kawangware or wherever, it's not a security threat, but he's a Kenyan who has come to look for or vendor for himself to ensure he goes back home with something.
Right. I'm still going back to my previous question, because there's been several senators who are now running for parliamentary seats, and that experience they get, that oversight role, how important is it going to be in ensuring that there is no corruption at the constituency level, because they have that experience? How are you going to bring that down and apply your experience?
First of all, you are now going to implement. And therefore, if you have been judging the governor, then now people are going to judge you. So you have an experience to ensure they judge you better, not judging you that now you have brought in a shoddy contractor. This is happening. Why are you paying exorbitant fee on things that you would have done with this amount? And I think one of the things I always say about women, we are very cautious sometimes when we are doing things. So I know if it's Martha Wangari, if it is Elizabeth Masha has been an MP, and I think she did a great job in Kasarani. That's why themselves wanted her back. So for us, I have to be more better because Beth Mogo, don't forget, has been in that area and left a record.
Right.
Today we don't have a CDF office. I know we are renting it somewhere, but I know as a woman, I will have to have my CDF office in Kawangware, and I will ensure in 6 to 7 months, I need to see a block in Kawangware where people can come, have an office, ask questions, have a hall where young people can do whatever they are doing. I saw the ICT CS talking about Ajira and all that. And he says he's bringing in the different, let's say, what they have achieved in Ajira to the constituencies, to the wards. I would want to see Dagoretti North getting that very first. And that is one thing I'm going to run with, because I know young people in Dagoretti North will change when they see that.
All right.
Yes.
We don't have too much time. Let's wind up with that gender issue. Just this morning in the papers, Millie Odhiambo seemingly expressing her frustration that the issue of sexual harassment in the house was not given as much as attention as it should have. And she also claimed that she as a woman had been sexually harassed in the house, let alone outside on the campaign trail. Speak to us about that back and forth, especially being a woman in politics.
I know I've faced a lot of harassment, and you'd find both my opponents would come and say, she's the one who has done this. When young people now go and stone everything, she's the one who has done this. I'll be called different names. It's unfortunate. They will even call me Wamboi, which is okay because you're a woman. I mean, I find it very ridiculous to start somebody telling me, you are Wamboi. So I'm like, fine, but my certificate does not read Wamboi. Right. It reads something very different and a very long name where many people can't even be able to pronounce it. So I'm like, I am Beatrice Kedeverese Lachi, period. You call me Wamboi, you call me. But I wish my MP was here because I know he also asked me in another studio, I mean, that I'm Wamboi, and I'm like, are you serious? I mean, I can sue you. So the harassments that they use because of fear, and they even forget, because I know my Mheshimiwa is married to a Chinese. So I always ask myself, when you start that, what happens to your children? Because you want your children also to prosper. And I would hate to come and point out and say, this one, what do you look? It's wrong. And women, we are going through that. They will even go down, down, down and say, now, this is a woman who sleeps with this one. And when you read the blogs, you're like, wow. But in the end of the day, I have said to myself, never, never be deterred. When men use sexual moves that would wish to pull you down, just know you're very strong, any woman out there, and just know you're a threat. That is why they've ended up going now below the belly to think about you. Because if you're a smart man, think about me from the top.
Right. I mean, because Michelle Obama once said, when they go low, we go high. All right, yes. Let's have your final comments to the people of Dagoretti North.
I would want to, first of all, thank the people of Dagoretti North, and just to tell them that in an election is like rain. Rain, we have rain now. It's raining, and it's going to stop. I would hate you to follow us as politicians, and then in the end, when you're coming back, you realize the business, the small business you are handling is gone. You have to start life again. Then you start asking people to assist you. The most important thing is that as we go to August 8th election, let us make it a peaceful election. We have had peace in ourselves. I know within the opponents, we've had a lot of chaos. And I just want to tell politicians, when you see people die in any of our rallies, we need to really come back and reflect ourselves. But the most important thing of Dagoretti North is that I know you're going to vote for change. I bring in change. I bring in motherhood. I want to see young people, those who have not gone to school, those who would wish to go to Gumbaro and just do your exams to get a paper of Standard 8 or Form 4 before we change our curricula will be the most important thing you have done for your life.
All right,
Thank
that's
you.
a good note to end the dawn debate. We're speaking to nominated Senator Beatrice Elachi, who is running for the Dagoretti North parliamentary seat against ODM's Simba Arati, who is also the incumbent member of parliament. And that brings us to a break here on Morning Express. We thank you for staying with us. Don't go too far. We'll be back shortly with some news updates and later on the political point. Remember, our focus will be on that Jubilee manifesto unveiled yesterday. Have they achieved what they promised 5 years ago? And of course, we'll also be preempting on the NASA manifesto, which is set to be launched at the end of the day. Stay with us. This is Morning Express.